The message that popped up on my phone screen looked just like any other message. It was the kind of text I had seen 1,000 times during our 10 years of marriage. For 3,650 days, we had built a life together based on being honest. It simply said, "I am working late again. Please do not wait up for me." Usually, when Natalie sent a message like that, I would feel a little bit sad because I would miss her company at the dinner table. I enjoyed our quiet evenings, but I always trusted her with all my heart. We had built a whole life together on that foundation of trust, and I never had a reason to doubt her before. But on that particular night, things felt very different. There was no little heart emoji at the end of the sentence like there usually was. There was no "I am sorry" or "I will see you soon, honey." It was just a cold, short line of text that felt like a thick stone wall being built right between us in the middle of our living room. For a few months leading up to this, I had been noticing little things that made me feel uneasy. It was like watching a movie where the bright colors slowly start to fade into gray. Natalie had started taking her phone with her everywhere she went. She even took it into the bathroom when she brushed her teeth or took a shower. If a message came in while she was sitting near me, she would quickly turn the screen away so I could not see who was writing to her. She also started spending a lot more time in front of the bedroom mirror before going to work in the mornings. She was picking out her prettiest dresses, the ones she used to save for our special dates, and spending a very long time making her hair look perfect. She was doing much more than she ever did in all the years before. Every time I asked her a simple, friendly question about how her day went, she would get very upset and defensive. A small talk about what she had for lunch or who she spoke to at the office would somehow turn into a big, loud fight. I really wanted to believe it was just stress from her busy job. I told myself that my wife was just tired, overwhelmed, and needed some space. But deep down in that quiet and honest place in my heart, I knew something was not right. That night, instead of going to sleep like a good husband, I decided to listen to that small voice in my head, my gut feeling. We had always shared our phone locations with each other for emergencies, like if a car broke down on a dark road or someone got lost in a new city. I opened a map app on my screen, and what I saw made my heart feel like it was sinking into a bucket of ice water. She was not at her tall office building where she said she would be. The map showed that Natalie had left her work almost an hour ago, but she was not driving home to be with me. She was sitting at a fancy restaurant on the other side of town, a place she had never once mentioned to me before. I just sat on the edge of our bed and stared at that little blue dot on the screen, hoping with everything I had that there was a good reason for it. I thought maybe she was meeting a new person for work. Maybe it was a last-minute meeting she just forgot to tell me about because she was busy. I tried to make up every excuse I could think of for her because I did not want our marriage to be broken. I did not want our 10 years to end like this. But then I saw something that took away every single excuse I had left. A friend we both knew had posted a photo on social media from that very same restaurant only minutes before. Natalie was in the background of the photo, and she was not alone at all. Sitting across from her was a man I knew very well. It was Ryan, her boss at work. He was the man she always told me was a difficult and mean person to work for. He was a name that had been coming up in our talks more and more lately, usually in a negative way. My hands started to shake, not just because she was having a meal with another man, but because I realized how many lies had been told directly to my face. I did not call her right away to scream. I did not yell at the walls. I just sat there in the dark room and waited for the clock to tick. Sometimes, being silent tells you a lot more than being angry ever could. Around midnight, my phone lit up again in the dark. It was another text from Natalie. It said, "Are you asleep? Please do not stay up waiting for me. I might be very late tonight." I looked at those cold words for a very long time. Not long ago, I would have sent a sweet reply telling her I loved her and that I would leave the porch light on so she could find her way home safely. But that night, something inside me finally snapped and broke. I typed a simple, short reply. "Working late again? Do not worry. I already saw you leave the restaurant with him." The moment I hit the send button, my heart started beating very fast against my ribs. I did not feel bad about saying it. I just felt like the heavy weight of the truth was finally out in the open. She read the message almost immediately. Then she tried to call me. I watched the phone ring and ring on the table, but I did not pick it up. She called a second time, then a third time. Each call felt shorter than the last, and I could feel her getting more worried on the other end of the line. After that third call, everything went completely quiet. There were no more messages, no more loud calls, and no apologies. That heavy silence told me everything I needed to know about the state of our marriage. I spent the rest of the night sitting in our living room, surrounded by our memories. I looked at our wedding pictures where we were both smiling so hard, and I looked at the little things we had collected from our trips together over the years. Everything looked different to me now. I realized that the person I trusted most in the entire world had been living a secret life right behind my back. I did not sleep at all that night. I started making choices in my future, not out of anger, but out of a need to be smart and protect myself. I saved all the messages she sent and the location pictures from a map, because I knew that having the truth documented was important. The next morning, I thought Natalie would come home early and try to explain things or ask for forgiveness, but she did not show up at the door. Then, at exactly 8:17 in the morning, I got a message from a phone number I did not know. It was not from Natalie or a friend. It was from Ryan's boss, the person who ran the whole company. I opened it with shaking fingers, and the very first sentence showed me that this situation was much bigger and darker than I thought. The message said, "I think you deserve to know the truth about what happened last night." My stomach felt tight and twisted because I expected even more bad news. He told me that Ryan had been in big trouble at work for a very long time. Ryan was being investigated by the company for being mean and dishonest with the people who worked under him. The boss said Natalie was not the only person Ryan had been tricking with his lies. He had a way of making people feel very special and important while he was actually just using them for his own gain. The boss contacted me because he found out Ryan was using company money and company cars to hide his secret meetings and dinners. Natalie's name was part of that big investigation. But the part that hurt my heart the most was when he said Natalie was not just having a secret dinner. She was actually planning to leave our marriage entirely. She truly believed that Ryan was going to help her start a whole new life far away from me. Suddenly, every late night and every cold, mean moment from the past few months made perfect sense. She was not confused about us. She had already picked a different path and a different person. That afternoon, Natalie finally came home. She walked to the front door expecting me to be screaming, crying, and asking her 1,000 questions. But I was very calm, sitting in my chair. She immediately started talking fast, saying that I had everything wrong and that I was being paranoid. She said Ryan was just a friend and that the dinner was strictly for work business. She even tried to turn it around and say it was my fault for thinking the worst of her after 10 years. I just sat there quietly and let her finish her story. Then I slowly put my phone on the table and showed her the long message from her big boss. I watched as all the color left her face, turning her pale. For the first time, she looked scared instead of confident. She saw that her whole story was falling apart like a house of cards. She tried to shift the blame to Ryan, saying he had tricked her and that she was a victim in his game too. Maybe he did trick her, but she still made the choice to lie to me every single day. She had so many chances to sit me down and tell me the truth, but she chose to keep secrets instead. That choice changed everything for us, and there was no going back. The next few weeks were the hardest weeks of my entire life, but I learned a lot about myself. Natalie kept asking me to give her another chance. She cried and said she made a big mistake, and that she finally saw what she was losing. But I had learned a very painful and important lesson. People are often only sorry after they get caught. I did not want to hear any more promises or sweet talk. I had heard enough words to last a lifetime. I needed to see actions, and I realized that some things just cannot be fixed once they are broken into a million pieces. I filed for divorce and started to work on making myself feel better one day at a time. Ryan ended up getting into a lot of trouble at his job, and everyone in the community found out what he had done. Natalie had to face the hard truth that the secret life she wanted was just a dream built on lies and sand. One evening, while we were packing things, she asked me, "Did you ever really love me?" I looked at her and told her that I loved her more than anything in the world. That was exactly why it hurt so much. But I told her that loving someone does not mean you have to let them treat you badly or lie to you. She had nothing left to say after that. Months later, I realized that the night I found out the truth was not the end of my life. It was actually the night I stopped living a lie. Losing my marriage was very sad, but losing my own self-respect would have been much worse. I had spent years trying to make her happy, while she was not even trying to protect my heart. That one message about working late became the surprising start of my brand new life. I used to think that being betrayed was only about the person who goes away. Now I know it is also about the person who stays behind and finds the inner strength to keep going. Natalie eventually said she was truly sorry, and I accepted that apology for my own peace of mind. But accepting an apology does not mean you have to go back to the person who hurt you. Some doors stay closed for a very good reason. Today, I am not an angry man. I am actually happy because the truth, even though it hurt like a physical wound, gave me my freedom back. The person who tried to replace me actually taught me the most important lesson of all, how to value myself.